Good morning, afternoon, and welcome. I'm Zoe, and you are here because the quiz that you took highlighted that you're really struggling with your anxiety and your fatigue right now, and you want nothing more than to be able to overcome these symptoms and get back to being you. So I've put together this training for you. It's going to be about 20 minutes, and I'm going to talk you through how overcoming those symptoms is very achievable for you, and I'm going to show you that by how I worked with my client to do so. So sit back, 20 minutes, let's go. So today you are going to learn how you can identify your triggers and overcome menopause anxiety. You're going to learn how you can prevent exhaustion, get motivated, and start enjoying that time with your family and friends again, rather than wanting to just retreat, stay in your safe zone, stay in your house on your own, block the world out. You don't want that, but that's all you feel that you've got the energy for right now. You're going to learn how to get your energy back and how to feel like you. And we've all been there, that constant feeling of dread and self-loathing that comes in, the dread of having to do anything, just wishing the day away just so you can be on your own without any noise. I get it, I've been there. All of that is possible with one thing. You need to learn how to prioritize your self-care whilst you're juggling your busy career and your hectic life, whether that's family life, your work life, your social life, whatever conditions it is that you're living in right now. So who am I and why have I got the authority to talk to you? So my name's Zoe and I am your menopause coach, and I am on a mission. I want to champion all women in menopause. I do champion all women in menopause. What I do is I provide the practical and emotional support that isn't available anywhere else. I do that to help the women that just feel lost and overwhelmed by their symptoms. My area of speciality is the anxiety, self-doubt, fatigue, and weight gain. And I give them that support by providing specialist bespoke coaching. Every single person is unique and they deserve that one-to-one coaching and championing to get them through this transition so that they can get back to being them and rebuild and reclaim their relationships, careers, self-worth. You deserve that, and there is a way to do it. A little bit more about me. So I have 20 years experience in leadership roles, probably a lot more than that now. I have always spent my career mentoring and coaching people to achieve their very best, to achieve their potential in their careers, in their personal lives. I am a fully qualified menopause coach. I've done extensive training from various different providers in that, alongside my experience working with menopausal women. I'm a qualified nutritionist, women's health practitioner with Dr. Louise Newsom. I'm a personal trainer, and I have a passion for the psychology around obesity and behaviour management. So I've got a lot of training in that, along with disordered eating behaviours. I only work with women in menopause. That is my passion. That is what I love to do. That is what I love to immerse myself in. I am a champion of women. I'm experiencing perimenopause myself, have done for the last 10 years. Started at 35 with my symptoms. Took me a long time to kind of work out what was going on, but we're there now. I also have a history of polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that's relative to important for you to know, because it means that I have been through the whole healthcare system 100 times and got nowhere, which is why another reason I ended up here. One more thing about me is that I worked for many years in the NHS, and I still retain one of those roles where I work with a board of directors commissioning services to primary healthcare. That's important for you to know, because it means that I keep an ear to the ground. I know what's going on in primary care. I know what is available to women for their healthcare and what is not. let's begin. I'm going to talk to you about my client, Annie, who came to me full of anxiety and despair and pretty much at the end of her tether. She was on the verge of a breakdown. She said to me she needed help understanding what was going on with her body. She didn't know where to turn to for advice. She was already on HRT. That wasn't doing its job. She was a very successful business lady. She was had a business with a few people, and the anxiety was really getting to her and having an impact on her confidence to do her job and bring in the clients, which was her role. So she wanted to stop feeling exhausted. She was scared and anxious all the time, very self-critical. She wanted to overcome her fear and dread of social events, and wanted to fall in love with her career again. You know, she left a busy corporate role to build this business, and she just wasn't enjoying it because she didn't feel she was any good at it anymore. Aside from that, she was also having body image issues and wanted to lose some weight. However, her barriers to change, and we all have barriers, these are the things that stop us being able to do these things ourselves. She had a massive fear of failure. She was a very high achiever, and her lack of confidence was causing this fear of failure in whatever it was. She also, despite her desire to lose weight, she had a fear of having to give up things, the only things she felt that was left to her to enjoy, which was her time with her husband, enjoying food and the odd glass of wine. So her other barrier was that she was time poor, meaning that she didn't have that much time for herself. She realised it was important, but where could she fit it in? She also had a young family who were dependent on her and elderly parents who were very dependent on her. And the most important factor in all of this was that she had a history of disordered eating, which meant that any focus on diet could be quite triggering for her. So that was really important for me to be mindful of. So where did we start? So what I have is an effective, first-class, 3-step process to get my clients results. These are the steps. I understand the mission, and that comes from that in-depth one-to-one where I really get to know my client. So with Annie, it was talking all about her lifestyle, her career, her symptoms, how her life had changed, her goals, what she wanted to achieve, her lifestyle, all the stress that she was under. She needed to lay herself bare. She needed to make herself vulnerable for me to understand and together create a realistic plan going forward. And that's where the step 2 comes in, because that is laying the foundations, identifying the behaviours that we're currently having, the habits that were currently in place, and how we could make small tweaks to them to create simple solutions that would give lifelong change and get that transformation, get that shift from feeling anxious and self-doubt, and get her having her confidence back. So we needed to really work on, with Annie, all around her repairing her relationship with herself, with her colleagues, with even her family, and her relationship with food and things like that. Finally, we move into step 3, and that is putting those new habits in place in a small way in which they're easily integrated so that the change is in place for life, and that Annie has the tools going forward that should she feel herself slipping, she knows exactly what to do to bring herself back on track and stay in a good place. So, where did we start? So this was Annie's cycle of symptoms, and whatever your biggest symptom is in menopause, whether it's weight gain, anxiety, fatigue, the reason for that will always be because you are trapped in a cycle of some sort, always. And it's being able to unpick that and it's always the chicken and egg is what you'll see here. So she was stuck. We've got the anxiety at the top there. So the anxiety was really starting at nighttime, and that was triggered by a lack of sleep, that was triggered by a lack of by too much worrying about what was going on, too many voices in the head. So the anxiety, we've got it creeping in at night, causing paranoia, fear. That was causing exhaustion leaking into the next day. The next day she was full of dread because she didn't feel rested and ready enough to deal with the next day. This was impacting on her appetite, causing a change in her body shape, adding to her low self-esteem and triggering all of those things from her past where she was experiencing disordered eating. She had worked so hard to get the focus away from her body and food, but these other behaviours and symptoms were bringing this all back to the forefront again, and it was all consuming for her. Both the lack of sleep and the overthinking cause an incredible exhaustion. So poor sleep, running a business, caring for kids and elderly parents, that has an impact on your brain, of course, and this is where the brain fog becomes exacerbated, the low mood and really triggering moments of rage. I've experienced that myself. You feel like you're going absolutely batshit crazy. You don't know how you can go from feeling all nice and chilled one minute to suddenly wanting to rip somebody's head off. Like, if you're feeling that, you're not on your own, I promise you. But you beat yourself up for it. When you have a moment of clarity, all of that comes to the forefront. You start blaming yourself, you feel guilty, you feel shame, and that impacts on your self-confidence. It hits the floor. So her confidence, Annie's confidence, was so low, it was affecting her personal and professional relationships. She was feeling, going into meetings with clients, her responsibility was to win contracts with clients. They were worth a lot of money, and she was going into these on the floor, feeling confused, forgetful of what she was supposed to be doing, and really doubting her ability to make decisions. And again, that was all feeding round and round and round. So what we needed to do was break that cycle, and this is how we did it. So we set daily targets. So whatever happened in that day, Annie had to commit to a strict bedtime and waking routine. We needed to get, that was the most important habit to get in place. Even though initially she'd have been going to bed, usually falling asleep and waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning for an hour or so, that was still bedtime. That wasn't get up, check the emails time. That was, you're in bed for this amount of time every day. We also put in place journaling, which Annie found really, really effective. What we had to do was work out when was the best time to do that. So journaling first thing in the morning, just put yourself in the right mindset for the day, or brain dumping before bed. And we were doing it a couple of times a day until Annie found a time that was easy for her to incorporate into her routine every single day. That way you go into bed, you've aired your anxieties, you should be going more peacefully, and practicing mindset tools, and they're really unique to the individual and what they're going through. With Annie, we focused a lot on values, what was important, what was her why, and having 3 values to focus on. With Annie, it was centered around her family. It was like, while I'm going through this process, the rest of the world doesn't matter. This is what is important to me, and having that real focus is really important. It really helps. The other thing was, of course, focusing on self-care, and this is the thing I bang on about all the time, because I get it. I'm a parent. I've been a single parent my son's entire life. It's really weird to suddenly say, I'm going to think about me and I'm going to put myself first. It's the most important thing you can do. If you don't respect yourself, if you are hammering yourself into the ground, you're not going to be any good for anybody else. And that takes a long time to kind of gain clarity over, because there will be a lot of guilt and a lot of shame that comes with that. But once you see the benefits of that, once your family see you happier, once you show up feeling brighter, it actually makes a lot of sense. So focus on self-care, switching the mindset, looking at what habits are currently in place, what are your go-to behaviors, and then replacing those. Very, very small tweaks, and creating that change for life. So exercise was really important to Annie, but she was using it in the wrong way. She was using it to earn calories. She was using it to punish herself for being tired. So we had a lot of work to do around that, to separate, differentiate between exercise diet, exercise mindset. And we also spent a lot of time learning about the menopause and its effect on Annie's body. And then Annie had a lot of work to do in terms of feeling okay and being okay with being vulnerable, opening up to her colleagues and her family about what was going on with her and in her mind, in her body. And realizing that people would be receptive to that. If you're being honest and you're talking to people, the right people, they will always listen. But this is real life, and it wasn't all plain sailing. So Annie had a family holiday planned. Her dad, who she was a carer for, was having a major operation that was really, really worrying her. She, being the life and soul of the party, offered to host a major family party, which itself triggered a lot of stress. As I said, she's incredibly busy in her own career with client contracts, and that in the back of your mind, this would all be easier if I was a stone lighter. Blaming yourself constantly for things being wrong because of your weight. So there was a lot of revisiting that also. And this is where the plan B always came in. So I was very, very blunt. I care, and I'm incredibly empathetic, and I totally get it, but I am not going to bullshit you. I am not going to be that person that tells you things to make you feel better. I want you to feel better, and I want you to know the truth. So we agreed by my lead that we were not going to be focusing on weight loss. That was not going to be the plan for Annie at this stage. We had to get her mindset right. We had to get her feeling good in her mind and her body, and get everything else around her right, get her self-esteem right before we even focused on anything like weight. So we had to put in a mantra for her, reminding her of her why. So that was all based around values. Accountability check-ins, absolutely non-negotiable. I'm going to show up, you show up for me. You've committed to this, and that means that I'm 100% committed to you. So that's really important, because then there's that two-way, that we've got a relationship here, and I'm committed to helping you and making you find yourself again. And Annie always had to promise to show up as herself and be okay with her feelings, and tell me exactly what was going on at every single moment, and getting okay again with not being okay, because that's incredibly important, to stop being that I'm not her work colleague. You tell me what's going on, and that way we can work through it. And that was really, really effective. So Annie's wins in her own words. You can see there, she said she had a definite mindset shift. She went from feeling lost to having more energy and reminded of her own values. She actively prioritized her own energy, saying no to things. It seems like such a simple thing, but it's so hard to do. We find it so hard to be honest with people. And the truth is, once you start being honest with people, they respect it. And what I found in my own circles is, if I say, do you know what, I can't be bothered to meet for lunch, I'm not in the mood, I love you, but I can't be asked, they'll be like, thank God for that, because I can't either. It's amazing. We're all thinking the same. And one more thing, Annie's wins. I'm much more aware of the levers I can pull nutritionally to help me feel better, as well as the value of a really good sleep. And so that means when we took the focus away from fat loss, she was able to focus on giving herself the nutrition that would make her feel good, with the intention of feeling healthy and strong rather than a bit thinner. And it didn't just work for Annie. So these are several of my other clients who have really experienced the anxiety of menopause and the weight gain and the fatigue and self-doubt, and they have all made that commitment to put themselves first. They've shown up every single day, stroke week, and just understood what it was going to take to make them feel better and get back to being themselves, and they achieved it. And I'm incredibly proud of each and every one of them. So my message really is that you can overcome your menopause symptoms, whichever they are. You know, HRT will get you hopefully to the place where you feel okay with being able to tackle the other symptoms that it doesn't, and they are the symptoms of weight gain, anxiety, fatigue, and self-doubt. It's really important to understand that if you're struggling with weight gain, for example, and you feel like you're failing, you're never failing. If you're failing at something, it's set you up to fail, and generally that's the diet industry. If anyone ever tells you that you're broken, your metabolism's broken, your hormones need resetting, do me a favour and ignore that. It's bullshit. It is marketing that they prey on us. They know that we're desperate. They know that we need that magic pill, but there isn't one, sadly. Never believe that you lack motivation, because you absolutely don't. Your body is going through an incredible transition right now. It is taking you from being a very fertile person to somebody who isn't fertile anymore. And that's what we're all about. That's our biology. So that's gonna take something. That takes years of work that your cells in your body needs to do. It's gonna be exhausting. Let your body do its job. Manage the things that you can, and that is change in your mindset and your lifestyle, and that's hard because it's scary, particularly if you have to do that alone. So as I mentioned previously, what's really important though is there will never be a magic pill. There is no magic pill. This is about you taking responsibility, taking ownership, taking accountability to do everything you can to get yourself in a good place. And to do that, you've got to be open-minded, you've got to be honest, you've got to be receptive to change. You've got to be really self-aware, which is hard, and self-compassionate, because hating yourself into change, never going to work. You've probably tried it. Criticizing yourself, definitely not going to work. So self-compassion, meet yourself where you're at, understand what's going on in your body, and realize that prioritizing your self-care is non-negotiable. It's not going to work without it, as these other ladies found out. So it's one of my clients, feeling so much better mentally and physically. Knowing what your triggers are, what your self-sabotage behaviors are, so important, because at that point, when you identify it, you stop it, you rein it in, give yourself a break, get back on track. There we go. I just love, honestly, this is why I'm so passionate about what I do, and it's seeing the change. It's the light bulb moments that my clients have when they realize that they absolutely can do this, and they go on to smash every single one of their goals. So ask yourself, are you ready to become your best self? Are you ready to, if weight gain's your thing, lose it with ease, without restriction? Are you ready to learn the tools yourself that will help you overcome anxiety and self-doubt? Are you ready to change up those habits, identify the habits that aren't serving you, and put new habits in place? And are you ready to make the second half of your life the best yet? I mean, it should be. We've got less responsibility. We are able to focus more on our careers and get exactly what we want out of life. There's no reason in this world. Nobody makes any rules about that. except you. In order to do that, though, you need to get clear on your goals, and you really need to know your why. Ask yourself why you want to change. Ask yourself why you're at where you are and what you need to do next. Why? Ask yourself it over and over and over again until you get the answer that makes sense. And a really important thing of testing whether or not you're ready to change is asking yourself, what is the cost of doing nothing? So assess where you're at right now, having done that with that quiz, and then say to yourself, if I stay as I am now and I do nothing, what is the impact on that? What is the impact on my physical and mental health? What is the impact on my family? What is the impact on my quality of life? And how does doing nothing affect my future? And write that shit down. Write it down because it's really important. But always know that change is possible. But find out, if you've tried 100 times and you haven't succeeded, why? What was missing? What stopped you achieving it? Was it the knowledge? Do you not understand about the menopause? Do you not understand about what works for your body? Do you not understand your body? Is it because you are unaccountable? Is it because you lack the support? And if you're going to be successful, what would you do differently this time? And with Annie's reflection, the reason why she was successful this time was because she put herself in a position where she was developing a good understanding of the menopause, particularly her own body. It's amazing how much we don't know about our own bodies. And she had a real genuine thirst for knowledge around nutrition for herself and supplementation. What was different this time as well is that she didn't ignore her old triggers. I didn't allow her to focus on her weight. So that way we were able to address the old eating behaviours and learn a different way of feeling good in her own skin rather than focusing on weight loss. And she said having a champion boosted her confidence because I gave her that on-tap emotional, practical and physical support. So are you wishing for results like Annie's? Do you know your why? Do you have realistic goals? Do you have a plan? And again, what will you do differently this time to make sure you succeed? Write it down. And are you able and ready to do this on your own? Do you have all those boxes ticked that you know how to do this on your own? Because you have two choices. You take that chance and you go it alone, or you could apply to work with me and let me do the hard work for you. We'll just scoot past all that difficult crap. I've got the knowledge. I could help you achieve your goals. So, are you ready to put your needs and yourself first and get back to being you? Because if your answer is hell yes, I would love to have a conversation with you. Not the perfect fit for everyone. I don't accept any person into my program. You have to meet the criteria of what we talked about before in terms of being ready, committed, and in a position to put yourself first. And if you'd like to contact me, you can contact me on Instagram at yourmenopausecoach, your.menopausecoach, or you can email me at that address, zoe@thezlbmethod.co.uk. If you're a little bit unsure what to say or how to start the conversation, just message me ready and I can get in touch with you and we can have a conversation. And if I'm not the person for you and I don't have the resources for you, I will happily point you in the direction of somebody who really can help you. Take care.